No, screw your intro. Hearing this music immediately followed by a volume drop and your signature inebriated slurring is just gonna give me audio whiplash. This is exactly the kind of thing that Hobbs was complaining about regarding Giga 12.
Wow, 5 seconds and I already hate this. I mean, considering what your username is, as well as your video's purpose, that's a real fitting name.
Spoiler alert! That never really gets elaborated on in the video. Like, what's Mooch actually mooching up to in this scenario? Yeah, this whole business with buzzword-fueled platitudinative vagueness while expecting the audience to figure it out for themselves is something that Comment Jack has a worrying habit of doing. A lot.
Welcome back, everybody, to Growing Up Gaming with the Mooch, and this week we're talking about console wars. Are console wars hurting the gaming industry? Personally, I don't think so. Sales of this generation are up 50% versus what the PS3 and 360 had accomplished. And this is much to the credit of the console wars.
Yup, you can lose all of your dignity.
But if it's profitable, it's A-okay.
Well, who is it that's really losing dignity in this situation? The people partaking in the console war mindset? Because, frankly, given the younger demographic prone to buying into said mindset, that would imply they were dignified to begin with. And even if that was true, maybe not everything in life is about dignity. Maybe profits are a good thing from the perspective of these hardware companies. Maybe they know about the childish mindset of the console war and look to use it to boost sales through adapting to current trends among a demographic likely to buy their hardware. Yes, I am saying maybe a lot. This point leaves me with a lot to speculate about in its vagueness. After all, this is Comment Jack we're talking about.
A big issue I have are all the YouTubers who say stop talking about these console wars, but then do a 2-hour show on breaking down the console wars and use it to get hits or views in a different way.
Or because they want to show how fucking stupid they really are.
Ooh, the edge. Verbally attack the people that are only tangentially related to the YouTubers that Mooch is referring to. Never mind how that doesn't really debunk his point in the least bit. Here, Comment Jack, I'll show you.
A big issue I have are all the YouTubers who say stop talking about these console wars, but then do a 2-hour show on breaking down the console wars and use it to get hits or views in a different way.
That's how sensationalist linkbait works, Mooch. This isn't in the least bit a new concept. Say something controversial, have the video wear it on its sleeve, and then stretch it out over a long running time to up the potential staying power of the video, boosting it in the search ranking, thus boosting the exposure, thus leading to more views and more potential ad clicks. And that's before we get into the whole per minutes watched aspect of YouTube Red. The console wars aren't the only focus of that particular gripe, you know. You see how easy that was, Comment Jack? And you want to know the best part? It'd be a cliche to mock someone's incompetency in commentating by going, I could come up with a better point while half asleep. Well, here's the thing. I actually was half asleep when I came up with that argument while watching your video for the first time, having watched your video mere moments after having just woken up. If knowing that doesn't tell you something about your abilities as a commentator, I think Super Funny Bros really did say it best.
Not only are you terrible at giving criticism, you're also terrible at receiving criticism.
Console wars started back in the late 70s and early 80s. Coleco versus Atari, Nintendo versus Sega, Dreamcast versus PlayStation, Dreamcast versus PlayStation,
Dreamcast versus
PlayStation.
How could someone screw— No! Okay, let me tell you my problem with this really half-assed information. First of all, the PlayStation came out in 1994. The Dreamcast came out in 1998. Second, the one that actually fought with the PS was the N64. But, assuming you talk about the PS2 versus the Dreamcast, be more clear next time.
Oh, calm your freckles, Sugar Cube, you know what he meant. In fact, going by the picture that Mooch uses, combined with the fact that he only gripe here is a lengthy tirade over the absence of one single solitary number, it feels like you're just magnifying something tiny to get artificially angry over so that you'd have something to complain about. By any chance, you wouldn't happen to be the long-lost cousin of Proto Mario? All the indicators as to what Mooch meant are right in front of you, so you'd have to be some kind of moron with an attention span in the negative digits to feel the need to explain that particular difference. But then again, look who I'm talking to. Besides, you're in no position to talk about a lack of clarity given one particular egregious moment in your next commentary where you complain about MTR for not noticing sarcasm, something which relies on tone of voice, amidst a sea of your usual poor acting.
Yeah, that would be a good argument to make if all I just said was not in a sarcastic manner.
But hey,
Rigby screwed up like more than once. And according to Mr. Enter, if you fuck up more than once, it's not an accident.
Dynamo Rocks for sure put it better than I ever could, so all I'll say to that regard is this. The mere thought of you of all people complaining about clarity is like Shirley Phelps Roper pleading for love and tolerance. Knowing who it's coming from, it just doesn't add up enough to be worth taking seriously.
Now it's PlayStation versus Xbox.
Correction. PS4.
I want your face to be covered in feces!
On this channel, I critique the media. The media acts like the good guy, but in reality is the instigator. They say they like gaming, but they push their agenda on us and always anger one side.
So let's look at who started this generation's console wars. In my opinion, it was 50% Sony, 50% the media.
And 0% Microsoft. Which translates to, the Xbox is the best.
Wait, if Microsoft really had 0% in this scenario, then how would it translate to saying the Xbox is the best? See, this is why you don't spend your math classes dozing off and drawing pictures of weenies on your books. And, I'm skipping the next part because it's nothing but a bunch of text screens where he tries flimsily to dismiss the supposed hypocrisy of him saying what he just said in the wake of him being frequently accused of being a Mr. Enter fanboy. And then he makes some token attempt at dismissing that by saying that his next commentary is going to be on Mr. Enter. Considering that the commentaries he made following this video include the video on MTR and a 2-part video on DiCaprio DeLorean, it looks like my descriptor of it being nothing more than a token attempt at dismissal really does seem to fit.
Do you remember the commercial of Yoshida and Adam Boyce exchanging a game saying this is how you share a game?
That commercial was a fucking joke.
It was made to make fun of the Xbox One, you idiotic shit brain.
Quit stealing my lines, fucker.
Please laugh at someone else's joke, senpai. I only have $7.
But uncreative, poorly executed copy-pasting of someone else's joke aside, if you actually took into account the clip that immediately comes next, which you left in your commentary by the way, you'd understand that Mooch's point didn't hinge at all on whether the commercial was serious or not, rather at who the jab was directed at, combined with the media's reaction to it.
That ad was a direct hit at Microsoft and Xbox, but Microsoft never retaliated. Then the media ran with it, as if to instigate the console war. Again, a war that was always there, but with Sony's childish antics and the media's agenda to make Microsoft look foolish, it led consumers to think Sony was doing everything right and Microsoft was doing everything wrong.
You see, Comment Jack, if you actually pay attention to what it is you're commentating on, you can come across as if your words are coming out of your mouth and not your colon. But hey, I could dismiss that notion entirely if you actually had an interesting, intellectually sound response to the clip I just played and not just some ripped-off media clip that makes no attempt to argue and instead comes across as a shallow attempt at a jab.
Fuck that.
Or I can find something more intellectually stimulating to do with my time.
Oh, Zakara, show me your best magical brow.
So you tell me, fellow YouTubers, are the console wars that bad? Does everybody remember before this generation began, analysts predicted that this would be the worst generation for sales for consoles? It's food for thought, isn't it? My opinion is that these annoying console wars are actually thriving the business upward, and I think Microsoft and Sony know that, and have no issue with it. So let's continue to debate. Which console is better? It's only helping the industry in my opinion, and you can look to any sales or marketing trends for this generation and see that my opinion holds a lot of truth to it. Remember, pick the console you like, debate what you like.
Okay, being profitable is not an excuse for being immature. Yeah, that's pretty much the console wars. A bunch of immature man-childs that fight just because people don't agree with them.
And Mooch is trying to argue that such attitudes are healthy for the publicity of the current generation, which is why he encourages people to continually debate these kind of things as they want to keep this generation going. How exactly are you debunking his point exactly?
As for the Mooch, proofread your points and look for something worth defending.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a crash course in how to really copy-paste a half-boiled hero clip.
Projection.
Also, worth defending? How exactly is this topic not worth defending? You know, given that gaming is a topic that Mooch has chosen as his particular wheelhouse. If your only answer to that is because console wars aren't essential at all and we shouldn't really be caring about it, well, it was a big enough deal for you to make a 6-minute commentary on it, so I don't see what the problem is. But that said, I'm once again forced to speculate, since trying to understand Comment Jack's train of thought is like trying to read Finnegan's Wake. While drunk. To finish the video here, I'm not trying to say that Mooch's video was perfect. Far from it. Mooch's point came across as a bit too tinfoil hat for my liking when he wasn't being obviously preachy. Having watched Toxic Star 984's video brings up... Wait a minute!
No, I think it's because they are trying to show people how stupid it really is.
Or because they want to show how fucking stupid they really are.
More like N64 versus PlayStation, considering the fact that while the PlayStation sold the most at the time, the N64 was second place. Wow. A simple Google search to know that simple information and you fucked it up.
Second, the one that actually fought with the PS was the N64. But, assuming you talk about the PS2 versus the Dreamcast, be more clear next time.
And that statement right there proves you are a huge Xbox fanboy.
And 0% Microsoft, which translates to, yeah, the Xbox is the best.
Dumbass, that commercial was a fucking joke that was used to make fun of the Xbox One.
That commercial was a fucking joke.
Ripped off, warts and all, right down to the egregious mistakes. And this is the person who claims in his description that his script was rewritten 3 times.
Hello, Eddie the Scammer here, and I'm back, and I'm Woody.
Please keep the status of your erection to yourself. Like, oh, the avatar. Right, sorry, that was my dirty mind getting in the way. Please excuse me while I remedy this pent-up neuroticism with a quick image search. Disney, Tinkerbell, swimsuit, pin-up calendar. Gah, how did I even manage to type that?
I knew I said I wouldn't rant anymore. Well, screw that. Today, I'm revamping my old commentary community rants. This time, I won't come out as a snobbish idiot who knows what he's talking about. No complaint system, no whining about female commentators being scarce to the community, no irrelevant topics.
I wouldn't stop the video here if I wasn't about to tell you that him saying this bites him in the arse later on. And I say that because it does.
None of that will be featured in this revamped version of the commentary community rant. Just my overall thoughts and opinions. Here's my rant on the commentary community. Revamped version.
Now with Andy Garfield in the lead role. What's that? He's not in the role anymore? And the character's now appearing in the cinematic universe? Huh, life can be amazing sometimes, can't it?
For starters, I want to talk about the people that make commentaries. Now keep in mind, I'm not trying to talk down to anyone, but I'm just giving my overall thoughts and opinions, so please don't get offended. I don't like David, I don't like Ryan, I don't like Duke, I don't like a bunch of pseudo-intellectuals, I still don't like Gurigolo X.
Implying that Gurigolo X is any kind of credible point of reference for the model commentator, you might as well also say that you don't like the critic reviewer, Lightning Ripper, or 2013 M-Skull, because then my answer would be the same. I'd understand instantly as to why you wouldn't like them, but they're such oft-criticized examples, why even bother bringing them up?
I don't like T4TV, I don't like any of Agamot's channels, except for Astroshock, that one's okay. I don't like Mass Starmaker, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I don't like Half-Boiled Hero.
Trust me, I've seen this whole video, and not liking Half-Boiled Hero is the least of its problems.
However, don't think that I don't like any commentators, because I have a few that I do like. Blue Flame 3500, Junior Fan Returns.
A guy who, as far as I can tell, hasn't made a commentary since July of 2012. That's so far back that back then I wasn't even on the channel I'm using right now.
Richie Ray, Super Awesome Play-Doh, Youngblood Fantasy 92.
An account which hasn't uploaded anything since 2010? Fuck me sideways, that's ancient. Yeah, I know that Hobbs is still active, and I know that he hasn't necessarily stopped making commentaries, but why even specifically mention his first account?
Dynamo Rocks for sure. These are just examples of my favorite commentators.
First, Azu missed me out in the list of name drops, now Eddie misses me out in both the positive and negative name drop lists. I feel so heartbroken right now.
They make good commentaries in my opinion. The reason why I don't like Half-Boiled Hero is because his jokes are just too forced, in my opinion. I understand why everybody likes him so much, because they think he's funny, but when I see his commentaries, I just think of him trying to tell you that he is funny, instead of trying to be funny.
So, you just think this is the case? Well, the phrase "in the eye of the beholder" does exist for a reason. And what exactly is it that separates Hero from, say, Junior Fan? A key element of humour is the idea of finishing quickly on the highest note in the comedy. Now, bearing in mind that even in his best commentaries, Junior Fan was criticised quite a lot for how he drags his points out to a very long length, what exactly is it that puts Junior Fan above and beyond Half-World Hero as a commentator, given that Hero doesn't have this same problem that Junior Fan has?
I'm not saying that he sucks at making comedy, far from it. Heck, I think he can make better jokes than I could. It's just that, again, I think his jokes are a bit forced, and he sounds more like he's trying to say, "Hey, look at me, I'm funny, laugh at me."
Oh, alright, if you insist. Wait, he meant that as a reference to Hero? Oh, okay. But still, continue doing it.
The reason why I don't like T4TV is because whenever he gets angry in some of his commentaries, it always sounds forced as well, because it kind of sounds like he's just getting mad for no reason.
It's funny, because not only can I think of no actual occurrence of him getting angry for no reason, since there's always some form of context to his anger as far as I can tell. Yeah, and it's great to see how well not giving examples is working out for you, by the way. But perhaps the reason it sounds forced is because he's doing this thing called acting, perchance? Please don't tell me you subscribe to the belief that being competent at emoting is the same thing as trying too hard.
Now, I know that I said I wouldn't bring up irrelevant topics in this video, but I just want to do it this once.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
And I want to talk about his commentary on Ben's video when he said that Chowder and Flapjack got cancelled. You know, I don't think that was really worth yelling, "Do your research!" just because he said that they both got cancelled, even though Chowder ended and Flapjack was the one that got cancelled. That was really a minor complaint that wasn't worth yelling over.
To an extent, I can agree that the phrase "do your research" hasn't been funny or original since it was arbitrarily used on the first attack on Tryhard, but a phrase at least similar to that can be seen as a climactic punchline to an egregious or obvious error. I mean, yeah, personally, I wouldn't have gone for the phrase "do your research," but that's more in the sense that I would have mixed the phrasing up a bit more than that. Not simply because, oh, it's not worth getting worked up over something like that. Because if that was the case, where would you draw the line?
Irrelevant topics aside...
You know, those irrelevant topics I said wouldn't be happening in this video?
Now I want to talk about what I think, overall, about commentaries. Like I said, there are some commentators that I like, and they make good contramentaries.
Yeah, good contra-memories. Man, I remember that one time when one of Rashutsu's old videos brought back fond memories I had of the time when I first succeeded in entering the 30 life code. Those were the days. Wait, the fuck am I talking about? I barely even played Contra.
In my original rant on the commentary community, I said that commentaries were boring, but I never really specified which commentaries were boring and which ones weren't, which led everyone to believe that I thought all commentaries were boring. Now, I don't think that all commentaries are boring. Heck, there are some commentaries that are really entertaining in my opinion. It's just that most of the commentaries that I've watched really don't seem to be my cup of tea.
Well, the onus is still on you for wording it otherwise in the original video. If there do exist exceptions to your general statement, surely leaving the exceptions out would be a bad thing, right?
Another statement that I said in my original rant on the commentary community was that I said that I quit commentaries because they were really boring. Now, to be perfectly honest with you guys, that wasn't really my reason for quitting commentaries.
Well, Zarek and Hero, looks like you both called it after all.
My commentary on Shadow to Hedgie 5679, I decided that making commentaries was a bad idea, so I decided to go back to my roots as a ranter and keep making rants. Now to move on to Ryan's fans. To the people who keep telling me that Super Epic Clay and Youngblood Fantasy are more popular than Ryan, I get it! They are more popular than Ryan, but at least I don't see comments about them in every freaking video I come across.
You imply earlier how much a general statement bit your previous video in the arse and caused people to misunderstand you, yet you still make one here? Sweet mercy me, UKIP are less short-sighted than you.
The only reason why I put that in my original video was because I thought that it was getting very annoying to see comments about Ryan in every video I come across. Granted, I don't really think Ryan is a bad guy, but don't you think it's a little bit annoying when you hear praise about this guy from everybody you come across?
So either you haven't come across me yet, or you're exaggerating. I say this because going by the list of commentaries I've made on my channel, you want to know how many of my commentaries even mentioned Ryan? 0. Meanwhile, moving over to my commentary showcase playlist, where I hold all the commentaries I consider good enough to keep wanting to re-watch again and again after the fact, out of the 19 videos currently in that playlist, you want to know how many of them make any reference to Ryan? 3. And one of them only has him for brief cameos. Sure, I get that you're primarily referring to comments, but your wording here makes it seem like everyone is making videos akin to this. Hey guys, Youngblood Fantasy 91 here with another ejaculation all over Ryan's face for you wonderful people.
Oh, wait, can I join in, Youngblood? Ryan makes my wee-wee so hard.
Me too, please. I just love to see those perky white ass cheeks that make Ryan so lovable. In all honesty, I would appreciate it if I'd join in as well. Ryan's usurped Akriloth's position as the commentator I'd like to do the sexy time with the most. Well, that's enough crappy impressions for one video. Where was I again?
I'm not saying to all the Ryan fans that they should stop liking Ryan. It was just a little problem that personally annoyed me.
A little problem, sure. That's why you devoted an entire segment of your original video towards sarcastically exaggerating about the praise that Ryan receives. That problem is totally so trivial to you that it makes the frame rate debate look mandatory by comparison.
As for the statement I made, where I said that videos get undeserved hate by Ryan fans, that wasn't entirely true. I just assumed that Churtendo's comment was an example of that. And here's why. 1. When I asked him if he thought it was good or not, he responded with, "Ryan save me," thus implying that Ryan is better.
The problem is, was he being entirely serious about it?
And 2, when Conman told him to stop acting like he was better, Churtendo responded with, and I quote, "Eddy the Scammer, Coolio Swag, and Conman in what video was ew!" And yes, originally I wasn't taking this seriously. In fact, I was actually playing along with the joke. But I thought for a while, and then came to the conclusion that Churtendo was a biased fanboy of Ryan, who showed his attitude through making that comment.
Wait, you knew it was a joke, and only later decided to act as if that comment was serious? Excuse me, I need a moment.
I just fucking hate this world and the human worms feasting on its carcass. My whole life is just cold, bitter hatred, and I always wanted to die violently.
Okay, I think that should be enough to do it. Continue.
I later went back to my response that I made to Churtendo's Save Me Ryan joke, and I edited it so that it would read, "Screw Ryan." He later posted a comment on my second episode of the series, saying that it was an improvement over the first episode, which made me feel like a frickin' idiot.
Feel like.
Not only was it because I just lashed out at him for something stupid, but also he proved that he wasn't biased at all. The only biased one here is Duke, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. Instead, I'm going to talk about why I kept defending Conman throughout the entire video. The reason why I defended Conman throughout the entire video was because I thought Conman was one of my most loyal fans, and I didn't like to see a fan suffer through this drama that's been going on in the community.
Implying that this is a special occasion? Dude, drama's been happening in the commentary community as far back as when Shadvik was relevant. If anyone's really looking to avoid drama and yet still thinks it'd be a good idea to grow their association with the commentary community, at this point it's kind of their own fault.
And before you start asking, Eddy the Scammer has fans? Go check how many subscribers I have. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, 74 subscribers. I'm sure Bodalala would be very envious of you.
But yeah, I defended a fan throughout the entire commentary community rant. Sure, I might have sounded snobbish.
Might have.
But I care about my fans, so yeah. I was also afraid to admit that Conman did some stupid stuff back in the day, and that's why everybody commentated on him. Which is why I'm going to say this. Conman, you've been my fan ever since I reactivated my account in the summer of 2014. However, I thought that your commentaries weren't that good and needed a little improvements. But overall, you're still a good guy, and I salute you. You've been subscribed to me for almost a year now, and I appreciate your support. And I just want to say that even though you might have done some dumb things in the past, you're still a pretty good YouTuber. So now that I think about it, Conman kind of did deserve that kind of treatment he got. Do that to a fan of mine that doesn't deserve that treatment, however, and I crack your neck.
So play nice.
I believe that in hindsight, this person I really like still deserved the criticism, but I'm still going to wish physical harm on anyone who does the same thing to anyone that I just happen to like. Yeah, the whole breaking someone's neck thing was tacky when you did it in the original video, and time clearly hasn't sweetened it.
Well, I hope this is a better video than the original crappy rant on the commentary community, and this is Eddy the Scammer signing out. One more thing. My opinion on the commentary community still stands. I do not like the commentary community and I keep it as simple as that.
Despite those commentators I already mentioned that I like.
Sup, losers, wake up.
Jason.
No, fuck your intro skit.
You got what I need!
So, Sirius, me, Kurome, and Nihilistic Snake are doing a commentary on this guy called Lunatic the Game, who did a rant on Gligar13vids. Now, instantly, at a snap of a finger, there are two things wrong with this video. One, it's a Gligar rant, and last time I checked, Gligar13vids was a overdone topic and a troll.
And continuing...
Well, great to know your line delivery is about as competent as this video's audio editing. Excuse me while I nurse my eardrums in the wake of that burst of static.
And continuing with Clown Dude's point, this rant is actually a commentary. This means he lied. Either that or he's too stupid to understand the difference between a rant and a commentary. Either way, wouldn't surprise me.
It's obviously going to be the latter, since lied implies that he deliberately went out of his way to mislead people. If you think about it, there wouldn't be any reason for him to do this, making it the latter by way of process of elimination. I also look back through Lunatic the Gamer's content, and given that this and another video he did 2 months prior to now are the only videos like this, it's fairly reasonable to assume that Lunatic isn't familiar with the CC and thus wouldn't know the terminology, combined with how he had no outward intention of fitting in with the CC. That's not stupidity, that's inexperience.
But you say he's just a friend. You say he's just a friend. Oh, baby.
I didn't realize I had the technology I could use until now, but I was like, do I really want to talk about this guy? And I was like, because I feel like all the things I said back when I was little, okay, not really little, I'm still little, but all the things I talked about when I was like 10 and 11.
Okay, cool it with the arbitrary counter gag. We get it already. Lunatic didn't script his shit. Or at least I got it, but only on my second time watching, seeing how off to the side this counter gag is.
You got what I need!
Like, would you, like, I'm gonna try to find out that. So, well, without further ado, let's get started.
Okay, that intro was way too long.
Yeah, if only he had written a hashtag sipped beforehand.
A lot of it could have been cut out since it mostly is useless fucking filler. For example, most of the time you just said he's a troll. So, let me ask you a question. If Gligar is a troll, why give him attention? If you know he's just doing this on purpose, then why make a video responding to him? The whole point of trolling is to ignore them and not give them attention.
No, the point of trolling is to rile up people who are easily outraged. Hell, Lunatic himself has even said as much.
If you don't know what a troll is, if you just joined YouTube like 5 days ago, a troll is somebody who likes to majorly make people angry on the internet.
What you're describing is a methodology to deal with constant spats of trolling. Sloth, do you just have the buzzwords in your mind when making your scripts and just forget to actually put them together in some sort of actual structure, and instead just slop them down onto an A4 sheet of paper in an order that sounds vaguely smart?
If you didn't have the technology to make the video, scrap the video! Why? Because Gligar is—
Whoa, Clown Dude, you want to fix that chroma key on your avatar there, man? It kinda shorted out just now.
Also, you have black borders matter. Here are some remedies for this problem.
Stopping you right there! Leaving aside the poorly veiled kissing up to Ryan, I've been wanting to tackle the whole black borders matter thing since I knew from first hearing it that brain-dead talentless hacks would twist and misinterpret the phrase to somehow mean having black borders is such a bad thing! Firstly, anyone who's been around in this community longer than a few months will know the CC hasn't been using backgrounds for the longest time. Hell, I myself have been making commentaries since 2011, and I didn't start using a background until 2015. Sure, backgrounds do make one's presentation better in one way or another, but if not having a background is such a bad thing in and of itself that it warrants that buzzword, well then you'd better be ready to crucify a metric ton of your favourite commentators. Secondly, referring specifically to the video where that phrase comes from, Ryan was using the term to describe YouTube Dude's presentation and complaining about how he tries to play the hypocrisy game with Comment Jack over his perceived poor presentation. Yet YouTube Dude didn't have a background, which was one aspect of his presentation by the way, while Comment Jack did.
Also, if we were playing the what's more visually appealing game, at least Comment Jack has a background while you still have hashtag Black Borders Matter.
Note how nowhere in that clip does Ryan imply that having no background is a bad thing in and of itself, and that's of course leaving aside what Greystone Ejaculator has already said about this arbitrary obnoxious meme. Like, can we please just try not to make Black Borders Matter the 2016 equivalent of what I thought Argumentum ad Dictionarium would end up as? Please? It's already irritating that some of you fuckers can't even spell it right.
But you say he's just a friend. But you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby.
Not not knowing that Nintendo is headed down the same way Atari and Sega were. Because that's what's happening with Nintendo right now. So let's get to problem number 1 with Nintendo. They've got no third-party games.
Besides this one.
When Gligar said Nintendo had no third-party games, he meant that there was barely any. Do you know how? Because he was speaking figuratively, not literally.
Ah, I get it now. Speaking figuratively is now automatically a license to just say something and have it mean whatever factually inaccurate bollocks we want, as long as those fine chaps at the Synergy of Obnoxious Craptitude have something to complain about regarding Lunatic's brief cutaway by twisting things to say that barely any and none are interchangeable terms. Well, in that case, Double Fine know exactly how to run a business, having an upper limit on 3DS play coins is a totally fair mechanic, and Helsing 920 exists. What? Don't go saying I'm factually wrong here, I'm speaking figuratively.
Allow me to teach you the difference real quick.
Well sure, if your idea of real quick is 21 seconds of patronising tedium, I'm sure So Solid Crew would be proud. Frankly, if people need that difference explained to them, then that actually explains a lot about this video.
You got what I need!
Which is complete bullshit.
Whoa, language, man. I don't even cuss on this channel.
Good for you. You don't curse. Hooray! Not fucking relevant, you pleb.
It was in response to something that happened in the video. It may have broke up the pacing out of nowhere, but it does have relevance in that sense of the word. The only actual problem is that the point is moot when you consider how Gligar, leaving aside how he's a troll, isn't accommodating for those who don't curse on their channels, since he doesn't know about them. Come on, pick up the pace, you're here to entertain me, not fulfill a quota.
Because after all, the Wii U has no third-party games.
Well, besides this, and this. And all the other 3DS games, but...
What Sirius said about figurative and literal speech. Also, why did you say all the other 3DS games when he was talking about the Wii U?
Because it was something in addition to the Wii U titles he mentioned. The fact that he caps it off with a
but
tells me that he isn't actually treating it as an actual primary example and making the point that Nintendo isn't a stranger to third-party support. Sure, it's not entirely related to what Gligar was saying, but your point still has that uncomfortable air of a nitpick about it.
Okay? Maybe it had a few when it first came out, but then third parties quit developing for it because the Wii U was a weak, underpowered piece of garbage.
And then he immediately starts drinking garbage. Why are you drinking on camera? Like, can't you do that sometime later?
Then why didn't you just cut that part out?
I take back what I said earlier, maybe the approach involving throwing buzzwords at a dartboard does work wonders.
Legit, skip it if you have nothing to say and or nothing happens. It makes it a hell of a lot less annoying for us the watchers, and the last thing you need is annoyed fans.
Implying that Lunatic even is doing this for fan attention in the first place. Adding on to that, your artificial outrage over him not skipping the segment is moot, seeing as if someone starts doing something completely unrelated that can kill the pacing of the video, such as taking a drink on camera, it's a flaw that anyone watching would do well to notice. Hell, going by the flubs and audio editing errors throughout this video, that whole business of including tangential bollocks that could annoy potential viewers sounds mighty rich coming from you guys. Hell, this skit later on in your video is the embodiment of that.
Sega! Corner 9.
But Kurome, your pet spiders are there, and they look like they're gonna eat me. And they're yours, so they probably will.
Kermit, you still have those damn things? Well, fuck them. My bug poison is clearly not getting the job done.
As if things weren't already bad enough, didn't you guys also leave in the entirety of Lunatic's intro just to make a half-assed counter gag and point out how lengthy the intro was when leaving in a significant portion and pointing out the length would have just sufficed?
That intro was way too long.
Hey guys, let's get some Blu-rays out, because Slothboy is pretty apt to the subtle art of projecting.
Man, the replacement unsettling skip screen is better.
Because all that they have lined up for the Nintendo NX is some new Zelda game, which was going to come out on the Wii U, but it's been delayed over and over and over again.
AKA, twice. See, this is why this guy needs to go to trolling school. Seriously, I can even see past that.
So what if it had been 2 times? That should still tell us that the Wii U isn't strong enough to run the game. Since normally a game would get multiple delays, even if the console isn't powerful enough, or if the devs are being rushed. And with Zelda, it seems as if the former is the case.
delays tell me is that Nintendo have a lot to put in the game, combined with whatever spit and polish they wish to add once the actual product is completed. If a lengthy development cycle that could accommodate many delays is a sign of starting out on underpowered hardware, then... hey, hear that? That's the sound of what you get when a skyscraper's worth of Blizzard employees feels like their payoff has been trivialized by some nobody on YouTube.
But you say he's just a friend. But you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby.
Remaster is the Wii U's 2016 best Metacritic game.
You realize we're only 4 months into 2016, right? I mean, that only came out last month.
Geiger meant that so far, you single-cell twat brain!
Hush, hush, let those who actually have evolved beyond the Protozoan stage talk. Lunatic's issue was with how Gligar was coming to the conclusion that the Wii U feels more like a dumping ground for remasters than a brand new IP, and 2016 is going to have to do a lot to change that. Again, going with the idea that Gligar isn't a troll, the issue is on Gligar for his vague wording, not on Lunatic for counteracting the presumptive side of said vague wording. It's always better to be a single-celled organism than someone who hasn't even formed his own nucleus yet.
Burn!
The amazing fucktard.
Yes, I'm going to keep bringing up the Drunken Peasants livestream every time a sick burn gets associated with Sloth Boy. In fact, we all should. I know how much he loves it.
What else was there? Pokken, which got meh reviews, Star Fox Zero, which was a train wreck or plane crash, if you want me to be more accurate, and
I'm not even sure if that is accurate, if you ask me.
And, of course...
guys, nothing about how Lunatic missed the point of Gligar making a pun on the aviation aspect of Star Fox Zero? You know, plane crash, R-Wing, flying vehicle, figure of speech for a massive disaster? Sorry, who's the vaginal brain single-celled organism again?
We also have with the Wii U, not really much else lined up for this year, because all that was lined up was Zelda, and that has been delayed to next year because of the NX. They want to release it when the NX comes out.
I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't want the game to be barren and sort of just giant and just nothing else in it like Ocarina of Time was.
Okay, yeah, but he said it was being delayed because of the NX. You, on the other hand, haven't said anything debunking his point. Instead, you state how you feel on Ocarina of Time, which has nothing to do with the point.
You know, aside from having a massive open overworld and being in the same damn franchise, have you just forgotten which franchise he and Gligar were talking about?
And that's pissing off lots of gamers.
What definition makes those people gamers?
They're gamers because they play video games! Also, irrelevant point is totally irrelevant.
Please stop handling the word irrelevant the same way Cameo-Bams handles gender politics. It's not going to end well. Lunatic was questioning if Gligar's statement of gamers refers to the actual majority rather than just those that follow Nintendo and their output. Sure, his point was somewhat tangential to what Gligar was about to start saying, but you're trying to say it's totally irrelevant when it's really not.
You got what I need!
Now sure, it's going to be even more casualized than it has been because Nintendo casualizes the shit out of their games, but
Super Smash Brothers. Man, I need to get this cough fixed.
Okay, two things. First of all, shitty acting is shitty. Second of all, Smash Bros. Was casualized ever since Brawl when it made the game easier by removing wave dashing and L cancelling and adding the Smash Ball.
And yet Smash still has a large amount of technical proficiency behind it and subtle techniques to it that would strongly hint that casualization exists only in the sense of the game having a simplistic exterior. With all the terminology in Smash Play that I could get from, say, Realm Wars' video on Chaos Key, if Smash Bros. Has been casualized since Brawl, it obviously can't be by a massive degree. And that's of course ignoring how having a degree of casualization doesn't debunk Lunatic's point about how Smash Bros. Is an outlier in how much Nintendo's games are dumbed down.
But you say he's just a friend. But you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby.
Likely, because that is what's happening with handhelds. They are dead.
So what the hell are these?
Those overpriced pieces of shit aren't gonna sell well. You know why? Because Nintendo and Sony both know that handhelds usually sell badly because games on handhelds are usually more money, and phones and tablet games are less money.
Yeah, that's some rather speculative preview language regarding the sales of those handhelds. Well, leaving aside the questionable statement about the pricing of phones specifically, we can't read the future, so I'm sure that... Wait a minute, what's this? An article on Nintendo Life that actually provides actual evidence to the aforementioned dated-sounding preview language? This is again leaving aside the fact that
You are not debunking Lunatic's point.
Gligar is saying that handhelds are dead, and Lunatic responds by saying that dedicated handheld gaming devices do indeed exist, with the idea that they're still being manufactured and are still having games made for them. Yeah, sure, you can say all you like about how they're not selling well, or rather, won't sell well, but that doesn't mean the handheld market doesn't have anything to show for it in that regard, for the simple reason that handheld consoles still exist.
You got what I need!
Here's the thing with Nintendo systems. They're irrelevant now.
And yet they made the new 3DS.
Well... So what? It's not relevant because of the fact that Nintendo putting out mobile games still means that they're beginning to realize that mobile is a strong force in the market.
Oh my lord, is it relevant on your word of the day calendar or something? Knock it off already! The 3DS is still being manufactured and sold everywhere, games are still being made for it, Gligar is preaching about how they're already irrelevant, Lunatic brings up the 3DS as a counterexample to that, the handheld's declining success doesn't change how it still has a foothold of some sort in the handheld gaming market.
Hey, piss shit, you cut me off.
Wow, really? I couldn't tell from the momentary pause between the two lines that undermines the entire joke.
Well...
So what? What, is comedic timing a tool of the patriarchy now?
But you say he's just a friend. But you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby!
I'll end my side of the argument with probably the most obvious. You presented poor arguments, and you fell for a troll all in one fell swoop.
Well, that's certainly not changing the fact that it's entirely possible to bring up poor arguments to call out said individuals falling for a troll. Yeah, there were a few decent points that I did skip just now for the sake of time, but this isn't even a balance between the negatives and the positives, let alone the positives outweighing them.
I'd like to thank you for wasting all of my goddamn time, because holy hell, this is the most know you I've seen in a while.
Stop being tapioca pudding.
Why? Just fucking why?
Because he had counter-arguments to what Gligar said. The end.
You brought nothing to the table and you made shitty, laughable points. Seriously, never do this again! You hack! You happy quack!
Hey, who has 2 eyes, 2 hands, and just fell asleep at the mixing desk again, making Clown Dude's cringe-worthy artificial anger nearly blow out my speakers even when I turned the video's volume down to 10%? And the pertinent follow-up question would be, why would you ever let them edit again if he leaves shit like this in amongst all the other assorted editing flubs?
I'll just end mine by saying you've left a very bad first impression on me.
Funny, that sounds like the exact same opening to this channel's top-ranking Yelp review.
Burn! You've left a very bad first impression on me and the ranting community.
Well, then you're pretty new around the remains of that particular community. I mean, God knows what kind of hissy fit you'd pull the next time you chance an Undertaker freak.
The fact that you willingly went after a troll just speaks volumes on your talents as a ranter and commentator.
Or he likely just didn't care that Gligar was a troll and still wanted to get the counter-arguments out to those who might very well be taking his words seriously. I don't know, the possibilities lie sprawling in front of us.
Try going after something worth the world's time.
Yeah, real talent doesn't fuel the Gligar bandwagon. No. Real talent digs up the corpses of Roaring Thunder Pursuit and Sirius Orionis only to put out material so wonderfully acclaimed that it prompts Wave to say,
So congrats, Sloth Boy. I thought Meadow was bad, but you just took the cake.
Now that's what I call the kind of reception that screams going after something worth the world's time, doesn't it?
So, what do we do now?
This is the part where I kill you all.
The old we all die cliché. I should have seen that coming.
Oh no, he's not going to.
But I'm too young to die.
So was I. You should have thought about that before putting me in a pit with Kermie's man-eating spiders.
Where do you even get those anyway, Kermie?
To be honest, I'm not really sure myself. Oh well, guess this is where we all die in some over-the-top fashion.
Kurame, the skit was bad enough in the first place. Why would you think medium awareness will make it any better? I swear, one more and it'll end up summoning him.